I give a fuck? Why do I give a fuck? Why do I try so hard? Why do I care so much?
Welcome to Why Do I Give a Fuck? A cross-cultural conversation between myself, Diane Tate,
and Johanna Thompson. In these times of great struggle and possible shift, we ask ourselves,
why do we give a fuck about any of it? How does the lens we see the world through impact what we see?
And what do we do about it?
So the movie that we're going to talk about today is the American Society of Magical Negroes. Funny anecdote, and I was telling you this story last week, that my partner we were wanting to watch the movie together, and we didn't know what streaming platform it was on. And so I have a mechanism on my TV where you can speak into a microphone and it'll propagate whatever it is you asked it to find. And he didn't know what the whole title was, so he just said Negroes into the microphone. And Siri came up on because I have Apple TV, so that was the mechanism by which he was asking, kind of like Google. And Siri came up on the screen and said, language can be very hurtful, and so we're not going to talk. I don't remember exactly. I took a
We're not
picture
going
of
to
it.
talk like that.
Yeah, I have to find that. I have to find the actual languaging because I took a picture of it to show it to you because I thought it was hilarious. Here it is. Language like that can be hurtful to others. It's important to treat everyone with respect. So Siri is woke.
Siri is woke. Siri is letting it be known. Siri is going to be tone policing humans as they're talking. And that also means that Siri has to know all of the things, right?
Right. Somebody has programmed Siri to know that word was questionable. And then you challenged me to say the word with hard R into it to see what it came from. And I haven't done that.
Too scared. Too scared of AI.
I don't know what I'm scared of because I'm being asked to do it by somebody of color just to see. But I'm so trained not to
I
say
did say not in front of me because that would be just way too uncomfortable. But I would be curious to know what the responsiveness is.
If I ever get the courage enough to do it, I will take a picture of what Siri says.
What Siri?
Siri responds to you? It may be the same message. I don't know. She's not thinking. She's just spitting out whatever the algorithm told her to say when these words come up. So I'll be curious to see if it's to my way of thinking, should be an even stronger message about, language and what's okay and what's not, but we'll see. So, but this is the movie that we thought we would talk about today. So,
will you say the name again? The
American Society of Magical Negroes.
Magical Negroes.
Yeah.
I'm never so good with remembering all of the whole name. So what did you think about it? First of all, do you think that I'm a magical Negro?
Great question. I mean, no. Not that you're not magical. You are, but a magical Negro, no. I would be curious if you would self-identify after seeing this movie and seeing what their description of it was. I'd be curious to see what your answer to that is.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. How would you define magical Negro so the movie describes a magical Negro as somebody existing in a white person's narrative to keep white people from being uncomfortable, because when white people are uncomfortable, we know that has, really bad impact on other folks. What I like to say is when white people are uncomfortable, Black folks in particular die.
Yeah.
And so, I'm curious as to, after watching the movie, and whether or not you've experienced magical type Negroes in your world or community, how would you define them? Would you define it in the same way as the movie, or
something? I would now. I mean, if you had asked me, it's hard for me to filter that because my awareness of it has grown over. I don't think I even heard the term until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. One of my friends and teachers from Charleston, a Black woman, used the term. I think she was the first person I heard it from. And so I probably,
That's funny because I would never have termed magical Negro
Oh,
until
really?
hearing the movie. So that's, yeah. So maybe that's a Southern thing too.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know what her journey of knowing what it was, but she was the first person that I ever heard use it and didn't really I don't really recall her giving like a definition of what it was, but I got the gist of what she was talking about. And so it's hard for me to answer that question because I feel like I've been on a journey. So it was interesting in the beginning of this movie, they put words up on the screen that gives you a definition of what the movie is terming, what their movie definition of magical Negro is. And so I feel even weird saying that word out loud. So I just need to,
Negro?
yeah, I need to put that even into the room. I volunteer with a youth group, and we're reading a book that's written in a lexicon of maybe back it's back in the 60s because some of the characters relate to the Black Panthers, you know,
Okay.
still in their active form back in the 60s. So it's set in the 60s. So the word Negro is used in print in this book, and the kids that are part of this youth program are all of color. Most of them are families immigrated from different countries from the continent of Africa. So I'm reading this book to them, with them. They're reading it, and so having to say that word out loud has actually been new in my life just in the past like couple of months. And it's interesting to me how uncomfortable I haven't even saying it out loud. So I just want to put that in the space. I appreciated the definition that the movie gave at the beginning in terms of the concept of keeping white people calm, helping them manage their feelings of uncomfortableness, our feelings of uncomfortableness. Because when I heard the term used by my friend, she was using it in terms of, as I recall, in terms of it being through a white lens. So the
Mm.
definition that the movie gave, I felt came through maybe a black lens of this is what magical Negro means. This is what our role is if we are that. How I heard her term it, it was based through like a white lens in terms of if a white person sees or is behaving towards a black person as if they are a magical Negro, they may not even know that terminology. I may not even know
Right.
it, but I'm seeing them as this person of accelerated vision,
Mm.
skill set. They're one of the good ones, kind of thought
Oh.
process. That was the that was the way she was using the terminology. So to me, it's not really two different things, but it feels like it has two different connotations.
Perspectives. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, perspective, better word, through the two different lenses. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's how I came to watching the movie and thinking about it through a little different lens than when I first heard it, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense.
Okay, so now just go back into yourself. I hear from the movie, and then I hear from how your friend used it. But if you were now understanding this idea of magical Negro, what would that be for you in the context of your life? Like, have you come across somebody that you would be like, after seeing the movie and developing a definition for yourself? It was like, that's a magical Negro. I would consider that type of person.
Hmm.
Basically placating whiteness.
Right. The first answer that comes to mind is that I think all people of color probably have that, not probably, have that skill set, right? Because that's something I've been learning is that it's a matter of survival, right? So anyone that's non-white knows more about whiteness than whiteness does,
Mhm.
certainly how to survive our whiteness. And so yeah, I think that in the way my brain is now with my journey through awakening, the definition of the that was offered in the movie in terms of being able to placate whiteness, being able to see the full vision of white discomfort, and then navigate it and figure out how to deflect and change and shift and so that that whiteness calms down so that everybody is safer. It makes perfect sense to me. And I think everybody that's non-white has that skill set. You have to, I would imagine. So the terms of the magical in the sense that it might be rare. I don't know, magical has a connotation for me that it's not everybody, it's only a select few. That doesn't make sense to me anymore, that it's only a select few, because I feel like anyone that's non-white has to know how to navigate whiteness and figure out how to survive it for when we get upset. So,
I want to contextualize a little bit the movie.
okay.
And so what happens is the main character is trying to figure himself out, and someone offers a proposition to him, seeing a skill set in the main character that's like, hey, you would be really good to become a part of this society. And that's because this person has been existing in a way that's really accommodating to everyone. So, like, I didn't initially see a distinction, with ethnicity or anything like that. It was just like this person has learned to be really accommodating to other people. And with that skill set invited into the society, specifically, and what I loved about the introduction into the society, and it gave me a chuckle, was that it's making the world a better place,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you have these characters that exist, and there is a map that is identifying when white people are becoming uncomfortable, and then they're assigned this human that goes into their life to kind of shift. And so that's what we're coming into. We're seeing this main character be introduced to this, be very skeptical about it, saying that they don't really have an issue. They are self-identified as black and white, so they're a mixed human. And then being a part of the society is causing them to have a more clear awareness about how accommodating they are being to white people unconsciously. And that's a very real thing that I've experienced happen in my life, in my community, in my circles, where you just automatically act, respond, behave in certain ways because you are in what we would term mixed company.
Yes.
Um, and so it was funny to see that is being acknowledged, that there is a difference when you're around mixed company, but then to have a specific focus on working through and addressing white discomfort, which they have like a white tears meter.
I loved
that
that. That was
that
awesome.
pops up next to white people, so you know
You
where
know where they are.
where they are,
If you're
which
in the
would be
red zone,
really
you
really
need to
helpful in
get
the
working.
world.
You need to get working fast because something's gonna happen. Yeah.
Something's gonna happen. That would be really really helpful in the world. And when I saw the white tears meter, but besides just chuckling at the joke of it, I was thinking about the reality of it and how helpful it is, because there is a really good skill in being able to mask feelings that I've
Mhm.
experienced from white identified people,
Mhm.
right? So, like, something could be going on that is so major, but there is this social cultural way of being where it's like I have to present in a way that nobody is knowing what my actual feelings are,
Mhm.
which I don't understand, because then you can't really address what the root causes of problems are, which then also might be why there's so much explosion and harm and all those things, is because you're not really actually having the opportunity to speak directly to what's going on, because the person, I don't know what the connection looks like. I'm just making assumptions at this point.
Yes.
But yeah, so those are some funny things about the movie. And I'm just curious, anyone who is in the intersection of really being involved with dealing with white folks, like, are those the people that are going to be determined to be magical Negroes, because there is a additional skill set to be able to kind of like manage white psyche? And as I'm saying this and having this conversation with you and looking at your face, I'm curious as to, like, how is this resonating with you, that, like, there's a whole conversation around kind of white madness, and
Yeah.
keeping y'all calm so that the rest of us can be okay.
So many things. So many things. One of the things that came up that I heard you say, and I might have heard you wrong, so I wanted to check in, or not wrong, but I might have heard it differently than what you meant, was I heard you say that your take on it was that whiteness gets uncomfortable, the movie, talking about the movie, the whiteness gets uncomfortable and people that want to identify as Black get tapped to come into the society to help them work through their trauma so that they can calm down and everybody's safe. And that's not the way I saw it. I saw it
No.
as one of the main characters, not the main person, that not the young man that becomes a part of the society, but his recruiter, who is played by the actor David Allen Greer. He tells the young man that he taps on his shoulder because he saw some potential in him. But it wasn't necessarily about, he actually had to be put in proximity to this young white guy who was causing, was feeling discomfort, and his meter went off the charts. And so they needed to address that. But I didn't get the sense that the young man was tapped to come into the society specifically to address this white guy. I got the sense that David Allen Greer is playing, a member of the society, an elder member of the society, you might say, more seasoned, maybe not elder. And he's working in proximity to this young man out in the world. And he sees him, as I recall it, he sees him struggling with knowing how to stand up for himself, where he fits, and says, I think you'd be really good at this. And so it's interesting to me. First of all, I guess my first question is did I hear you? Is that how you saw it? And I thought it was curious that we saw that differently, if we did see it differently. So I'll maybe have you answer that, and then I'll move on to something.
No, we did. I don't think that we saw it differently. So I do think that the David Allen Greer character tapped him because he saw a skill set. The
Mm-hmm.
skill set that I was communicating previously is that he's very accommodating to a
Yes.
whole bunch of people. So he's always saying, excuse me, sorry, and oh, wait, somebody thinks that he's a waiter and he doesn't correct them and actually change
Right.
them. And
Right.
David is watching this behavior and says, oh, you clearly have the skill set to be a part of our society because you are so accommodating to these other people. And the other people, in hindsight, were white identified folks. They
Yeah.
were like, he didn't
Yeah.
have any interaction with non-white people in those scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm believing that David Allen Greer saw, the skill set that he's accommodating. And the accommodation is the thing that is most helpful becoming a part of the society, because the
Yeah.
purposefulness is to accommodate, internally angry white people.
That's so, but that's so interesting to me, because now that you're saying that, I see what you're saying. And when I was watching it, I was thinking that David Allen Greer's character saw this young man, in the beginning of the movie, he's moving through a gallery space, an art gallery space. He's an artist and he has a piece in this show, and he's moving through this art gallery, and he's doing the classic getting out of all the white people's way, because white people are just walking, they're not going to move. And so he's doing the whole, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry about that, excuse me. And I thought David's character wanted him to work his way out of that, because I remember when they were talking about, when they were outside of the club and they were talking about it, the young man was saying, I'm not accommodating, I don't know what you're talking about. And David's like, oh, that white guy that just walked past you, you're in his way. And he said, what? And he turned around and he realized that David was just bluffing. So I got the sense that he was trying to help him grow out of that. So when you're saying that makes me, I'm thinking about it differently now. I'm thinking, oh, it was actually the skill set that he thought he needed to have to be good at the society, which I thought he was wanting him to grow and be better and not be so accommodating. But that's hilarious.
But the whole purpose of the society is to be accommodating.
So I think that's very curious that my white mind took that. And
your white mind is saying to you, people who are non-white should grow out of being accommodating.
Yeah. That must have been what my white mind was telling me. Yeah. Interesting. That would be a sign of growth and a sign of, and I mean, he gets to a point in the movie where he does stand up for himself, and he does speak into this sense of, I didn't know that I was allowed to exist just for existing, that I thought I had to earn the right to exist because whiteness had taught me that I had to earn it. And so I feel like he does come to a place of growth in that, where he's able to stand in that truth without feeling like he has to earn something. And he didn't even know that he didn't know that until he walked this journey based on the way the plot of the movie goes. So it's almost like it's both and a little bit. It's maybe a little bit of what I
I
was
mean,
talking, a little bit what you were talking about. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if we're just talking about the storyline of the movie,
Yeah.
the skill set that he needs to be a part of the society is to be an accommodating human,
Accommodating.
right?
Right.
So like it wouldn't be the person who uh, has an experience with white folks that are just like, I'm not doing you. I'm not moving out the way. I'm not
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
doors open for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like that person can't be a part of this magical
No.
Negro society, because you have to be willing to take the time to listen and not care that you're not being listened to.
Right.
To give advice, to help somebody else advance when you're not
To
getting
step
that
into the
reciprocated to
shadows and
yourself,
let them
to step
shine.
into the shadows
Yeah.
and support all of the ways that they're thinking and feeling and moving and behaving. And that is the skill set that I saw the main character exhibit initially. That got that I mean, because if you're even thinking about the way that the camera was positioned when he saw it, when the David Allen Greer's character saw him, he was like, oh, and
Mhm.
he was responding to his being accommodating. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like he needs to change. It was like oh,
You're right. No, you're
coming
right.
on, he's gonna come
Totally
along with
right.
me and be a part of this society because we're changing the world, right? And so there's the other thing about it. It is
Saving the
not so
world.
much about, well, yeah, saving the world.
Saving the world.
It's not so much about just accommodating white people. The larger important thing to do is to like keep the world okay. So,
But then the other piece about the society where they had to all support that mindset. They couldn't deviate from the intention behind, what you just described, making sure that the
mhm,
whiteness calms down, making sure that the white person shines in whatever situation they're in, keeping them calm so that if all of the people of the society, as they're out in the world and attending to their designated white targets, they had to support this unequivocally, or all the magic and all of the members of the society would go away. I'm curious about that piece of it. That solidarity piece, I guess, maybe is something that I'm learning, how whiteness doesn't, we're not taught how to truly be in solidarity with others. We're taught ultimately that it's about ourselves.
I'm
Well,
curious about that. I'm curious about you saying that and that being the thing that is not taught, because what my observation would be is that whiteness knows how to do whiteness, and whiteness will always look out for whiteness before everyone else, regardless of knowing them or not. So like there's an unspoken solidarity that exists
true,
from being white.
true.
Um,
And
so, mhm,
in each of those whiteness, in within that whiteness, we are individuals.
right.
And so yes, we have solidarity with whiteness, but with the white people within that whiteness, not so much. It's like how to build that community and that collective
Mhm.
based on solidarity and mutual respect and shared experience. And those things don't I don't think those things are natural to the community itself. I don't know if I'm expressing what I
So it's
mean.
like it's an individualized collectivism that's
Ooh,
happening,
yes,
right? So it's just
yes,
like, right?
yes,
So it's just like
yes.
if if we are all knowing that the North Star is whiteness,
Mhm.
then we individually will benefit if we're all buying into
Yes,
the North Star is whiteness.
yes.
So As long as we all know that we the North Star,
Yes.
then and we all playing that and we don't deviate from that, that's what the collective effort is to then have your individual benefit in the way that happens.
Yeah. And
Just
to me,
being born
based on
right
what
and purposed.
on dialogues that you and I have had in the past about the separateness being the cancer, the
Hmm.
that to further what you were just saying, that individualism within the collective is the cancer because it breaks down. The collective is not a real collective. It's a fake bubble of collective
An
thought.
association.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
with one, it would be gone, and it is often gone. The minute
Mhm.
whiteness gets uncomfortable, or the minute whiteness thinks, it's boom, it's gone. And we're prepping, so that we can live with our own little nuclear family on the side of a mountain in the event of an apocalypse, and we're not going to help anybody else. There's individualistic collective. What is that? What you said? Individual.
Yeah, individualistic collectivism.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the perfect. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it is
I
actually
mean, it is. It
how
is.
it
And it's also, I
functions.
mean, it's the trend of what we're seeing, right? Like that's the
Yeah,
same type of thing as the social media, right?
yeah,
We're
yeah.
all on the platform, but we're individuals on the platform, for our own
Silo.
benefits. And then you're getting algorithms and tribes are forming, but there's no actual real connectedness with the tribe because you're not in space. Well, you're in virtual space with them, but you don't know these people. You just have like
Right.
similarities that put you in the same algorithm.
Oh my God, that's
Um,
brilliant. Yes.
I mean,
Thank you.
it's what's happening, and I think it comes out of what dominant culture has looked like. It's going to build itself in the same way, just using
Right.
different tools.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're seeing, and it's like making sure that we are being able to identify those similarities
Yeah.
within the systems that are causing us like all of this like harm and all of that kind of stuff. And speaking to that, the systems that are causing all of this harm and that kind of stuff is the current political climate,
Yes. Yes. Or
um,
at least it's
leading into what
manifesting
these
in the political.
elections
I don't know if it's the cause or the manifestation of. I think it's I don't know.
manifestation.
My first instinct would be that it's the manifestation. Like when people get so worked up about Trump, I've always thought of him. He's just a personification of whiteness to me. He's ideal.
100%.
He's the ideal personification of whiteness. He's
Mhm.
volatile. He's explosive. He can be unpredictable. He can be predictable in his unpredictability. He's like the Tasmanian devil when he moves through a forest and takes out the trees, and but that's whiteness. And so when people get so focused on him as being this, when he goes away we'll be fine, it's like, no, another one will just come in his place. And to your point about he and Biden being the lesser of two evils, I call them two sides of the same coin. They're Biden just manifests differently, but he's another personification of whiteness. He's the he's the acceptable whiteness. He's the and not even
So,
acceptable into. I know, not to. That's not what I meant.
acceptable to
No,
what?
to whiteness. He's the
Hmm.
to
Because he's not all of the ways that you just kind of like
right,
provided
because
adjectives
he's
about
not
Trump. He's
explosive.
not
He's
volatile and
quiet. Right.
explosive, and
He's
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 he's he's the
rub your
one that
back, and he's make you feel more calm, but he's just as volatile and just as violent as Trump is. He just presents differently. So no,
what's
he's not
worse.
truly less, but he presents himself as less.
What do you think is worse? The person that you know or the person that is giving you a facade?
I think the person that's giving you a facade. I mean,
I agree.
when Trump first came into office in 2016, I used to say pulled the veil off, and now I say rip the hood off of our society and made us really like talk about. I mean, I remember the first Democratic debate where they spent 15 minutes talking about white supremacy on a debate stage, and that had not with the actual words white supremacy, and that hadn't happened before. So I was happy that Trump, as horrible as he was, I was happy that he at least got us talking, got whiteness talking more about the realities of what was ill, what the cancer was, in our body politic, in our greater society, because we can't deal with it if we're not talking about what the real thing is. So, I mean, initially I was horrified by him and wanted to go back to sleep. Now I understand that the sleep is where, it's like carbon monoxide poisoning. You go to sleep and you just slowly die. We're not getting any benefit from sleeping, or at least we're not making any headway.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, as you move throughout your day, continue to ask yourself,
Why do I give a
Why Do I Give a Fuck is produced in collaboration with Johanna and Diane. Music by Norwegian musician Water. See you next time.